A lot of people think that breath work and breathing is all about oxygen, but it's equally just about our relationship with carbon dioxide as it is with oxygen. And it's actually a lot of times when we train breath work, we actually train our relationship with carbon dioxide as opposed to oxygen. So carbon dioxide is, it's really misunderstood. People think it's a waste product and that's that.
Crazy, isn't it?
And it's no good. But it's kind of like yin and yang. You really need carbon dioxide. It's just one of those things that just misunderstood. It's like stress. Most people just say stress is bad regardless, but there's distress, there's eustress. There's stress that helps you, and there's stress that doesn't help you. So same as drugs, same as everything. You really got to look deeper into these kind of things and really educate yourself. But
if you want to develop yourself as an athlete, whether that be a corporate athlete or whether that be a sporting athlete, then stress, discomfort better become your friend, because stress is the stimulus for growth. As long as we have appropriate recovery and nutrition, we need stress, don't we?
Exactly.
So then the CO2, in my world, we call that the respiratory exchange ratio. The more work you do, the more carbon dioxide the body needs to get rid of, so to speak. Would you mind sharing?
So in terms of, and then we work on CO2 tolerance, which is just developing a high tolerance towards carbon dioxide, because most people in today's society have a very low tolerance towards carbon dioxide. And so carbon dioxide is actually our trigger, our stimulus to breathe. Most people think it's oxygen. So most people would just assume that when oxygen begins to drop in our blood, in our system, and it drops to a certain level, it's too low, and then it triggers us to breathe. So that's actually not the case. It actually is carbon dioxide rising in the blood, and the pressure of carbon dioxide rising, it gets to a certain level and it triggers you to breathe. So carbon dioxide is our stimulus and our trigger to breathe. Okay, so based off that, it actually impacts almost everything, So if we're kind of a bit, we're not very tolerant to carbon dioxide, and we have low tolerance, we're very sensitive to carbon dioxide, then when carbon dioxide begins to rise in our system, in our blood, it's going to trigger us to breathe more and more, faster and faster. So we start to adopt and we start to have this more shallow, faster breathing pattern, which over time it becomes shallow breathing, chest breathing, your body's more acidic,
mouth breathing,
and all those things, like a domino effect. Carbon dioxide, so aside from just that, carbon dioxide tolerance, how tolerant you are to carbon dioxide, actually is also directly correlated to your resilience towards stress, how sensitive your nervous system is, your arousal of your nervous system. So there's a test that you can do for the listeners. So it's called just the CO2 tolerance test by the guys at Out of Breath, Brian McKenzie and Rob Wilson. So this test is similar to the Bolt test, but slightly different. I prefer this one actually. So what we do for this one, if you want to measure, kind of have a measurement to kind of indicate your CO2 tolerance, is just sit upright, 4 or 5 breaths, nice and relaxed breaths. And then on the last breath, say on the 5th breath, you take a nice deep breath in through the nose, all the way in. And then once your inhales reach its peak, you start your timer, and then you try to exhale through the nose as slowly as you can. Okay, so you want.
And is there a metric, like if I can get 30 seconds, I'm okay, or if I can't get 30 seconds?
Exactly right. So you want to measure how long you can exhale for. So the longer, the better. So I'll just explain all the different results. So under 20 is very poor breathing mechanics, probably very high arousal rate of the nervous system. So if you're under 20, you really need to take a good look at your breathing mechanics and how you can begin to really get it back into shape. The average result is generally 20 to 40 seconds. So the average person in society,
I'm just above average, damn it.
So 20 to 40 is kind of
average. I'm a competitive bloke. I'm going to work on this thing.
20 to 40 is average. Definitely not ideal, but it's average. Okay, so 40 to 60 it's still not ideal. Okay, but that's better than most of society right now. So if you're at 40 to 60, you guys are going okay. Simple changes in breathing mechanics should really be able to get you above 60. So what you really want to aim for the average person is 60 and above.
Got it.
Okay, so elite athletes or someone that's, you really want to get it to a really high level, then you want to be aiming for 80 seconds and above.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a great challenge. I'm going to try that. Not saying I'd like to do it because I'm sure I'd benefit my health.
No, you would definitely benefit, because, what the research has shown is the high tolerance you have to carbon dioxide, the less sensitive the less arousal of your nervous system. So people that get, for example, they get emotionally triggered or upset, or they snap, they get angry very easily.
Chronic anxiety potentially.
Those people generally have a very low tolerance towards carbon dioxide, and for some that has a lot more stress resilience. And is able to stay much calmer when things are going off the rails. Those people generally have a high tolerance to CO2.